Hello, I'm Peter Vaughan, and today I'm very pleased to be talking to you about this, an icon of the British motorhome industry, no less, because this is the very latest Swift Kon-tiki. Now, Contiki has been with us since 1985. It was the very, very first Swift motorhome, and even back then it made quite a stir when it had appeared at what was then the London Earl's Court Caravan Show. Earl's Court long gone, but Contiki still with us. It's been through many iterations since then, of course, but this is a brand new Contiki for 2022, a new range of 7 models. There are single rear axle versions and twin rear axle, tag axle versions at nearly 9 metres long. This one's a slightly more modest 7.84 metres. And it's not just a Contiki, but it's a Contiki Grand Prix. Now that is Loudham's of Nottingham's own special edition version, which is claimed to have over £7,000, around £7,000 worth of extra kit on it. The main difference externally is that the standard Contiki has a black cab, and this one has a grey cab with the matching blue graphics. But there's obviously quite a few other differences in spec to justify that extra cost. Anyway, this 794 model is an island bed layout and obviously on the single rear axle. All these single rear axle Contikis are on a 4.5-tonne Alco chassis, so you'll need a C1 category licence to drive one in the UK. They all come with the 160 bhp engine too, and the Grand Prix version also has the 9-speed automatic gearbox as standard. This particular example, I'm afraid, is a manual, but in every other respect, it's representative of what you'll get when you buy a Contiki Grand Prix from Loudham's. Now, of course, this is the very latest Series 8 Ducato, but it's not just any Ducato. You can spot, of course, the new grille, but what you won't see on many motorhomes are the full LED headlights and the fog lights set into the bumper. Of course, you've got this new section to the spoiler bumper unit as well, which I think looks a bit more modern. Then coming down the sides, nice chrome Swift logo, but on a flagship model I would have expected fully flush glazing for the side windows. Pity when they're a bit flatter than some, but they still protrude from the body, and I would have liked the properly flush windows, but never mind. There's your fresh water filler with little 12-volt power point so that you can fill from a container if you can't get to a tap. Water tanks, both fresh and waste, are underslung, but they are heated. They're not the most generous capacities though. 90 litres for fresh and 68 litres for waste. So, motorhome of this size, I'd have expected a bit more. The gas locker is a bit larger. That will take one 13-kilo cylinder and one 6-kilogram cylinder. Then you've got your external shower point, and unusually, I've unlocked them in advance so I can just pull them out, but you've got these skirt lockers. Now these are fitted on either side, so you get 2 of them, and they're ideal for things like your levelling wedges, your mains lead, that sort of thing. But I noticed on this one's obviously a brand new vehicle, and already it's from the back wheels, it's chucking up a lot of dirt around here. So I'm a bit concerned as to the maintenance of these slider rails, whether they're going to get clogged up and you're not actually going to be able to get the drawer out if perhaps you've been out on a wintry day and chucked a lot of mud up from the back wheels there. Anyway, beyond that, above those skirt lockers, as I say, you've got those on either side, and on either side you've also got full-size garage doors. Now, not only have you got 2 full-sized garage doors, but it's a good-sized garage. You've got little LED strip lights at either side. Over on the near side, you've got mains, 12-volt and USB sockets. And headroom in this garage is just over 1 metre. And you've also got loads of payload in this van. Because it's on a 4.5-tonne chassis, you've got just over 1 tonne of payload. However, this is the garage in its travelling position, if you like, so that you can get bikes on board. This handle rather gives the game away that you need to lower the bed, or lower the garage ceiling as well, of course, when you're on site, so that you've got a nice comfortable height for your bed. Now, it's slightly disappointing that at this level of the market you have to wind the bed down manually. And now I feel a bit like Quasimodo, but you've got 700mm of headroom in the garage. And when you've finally lowered the bed all the way down, there's a locking pin to make sure your bed is firmly secured in that position, and then these flaps come down so that your bed isn't on show to the garage. Now, if you're an owner of the previous generation Contiki, you'll notice that the trademark of that generation was the big rear window that wrapped over into the roof and gave you a sort of panoramic effect in the rear bedroom. Well, that's gone on the latest model, so presumably it wasn't a great success with customers. What you do get is this nicely curvy back panel, although it is all in one piece, so if you damage it, that could be possibly a bit expensive. But you have got twin lens reversing camera, you've got bike rack mounts as well as the garage, so you can really go cycling mad, and the latest automotive style swiping indicators in these very stylish rear light lenses. Of course, you've got the second full-size garage door, another drawer locker in the skirt, alloy wheels of course, and then down here you've got external main socket and your external barbecue point. Habitation door is a good width, and the thing I really like is that it's linked to the central locking. Unlock it and your awning light and your marker lights come on too, so sort of welcoming you back to your van. Oh, and of course the big full-length two-lay awning as well. Now, it's a nice low entrance into this van, so I think it's time to slip off my shoes and show you the inside of Swift's latest top-of-the-range motorhome. So, you've got somewhere to hang your coat when you come in, bold Contiki logo, sockets for your television, but no actual bracket, which seems a bit of a shame at this price range. It would be nice to have had a height adjustable telly, or one that disappeared and zoomed up electrically or something, but no, you don't get that. What you do get is Audi heating with radiators throughout the van, and it's zonal heating too, which must be a plus, mustn't it? I really like the Audi heating system because it doesn't seem to dry out the air like a blown air system. It gives you a more comfortable, more domestic style heat when it's cold and chilly and wintry outside. I also like this control panel, which is touchscreen. It's very easy to use. You've got dimmable lighting, all very neat and easy. And then when you come into the lounge area, well, Swift describes it as having business jet aesthetics. I'm sure some marketing type got paid a lot more than I do for coming up with a phrase like that. What I will tell you is that it's very much a two-room layout. You can see this door really does shut off the back of the van. Your bedroom and washing area is all very private. What you do get in the front half of the van, of course, is that business jet lounge and quite a well-appointed kitchen. So let's take a look at those features first. So what can I tell you about this business jet lounge? Well, for a start, it comes trimmed in ultra leather, which I presume means it's not real leather at all, but faux leather. It does have a very nice soft feel to it though, and Loudham's tell me that this is a slightly different colour to the one you get in the standard Contiki. Either way, I like it. You've also got this super-sized opening sunroof in the cab, which gives lots and lots of light into the front half of the vehicle. Adding to that feeling of space is headroom that, in the peak of this domed roof, is over 2.2 metres. So if you fancy wearing a top hat, well, you can in here. You can also comfortably dine 4 people around this table once you've unfolded it, which I'll demonstrate in a second. But before I do that, I'll show you that this big roof light opens electrically. Once you've first released these 2 catches, you then just press a button and it sort of slowly whirs up. At least you can tell your friends you've got an electrically opening sunroof on your new Contiki. What else have you got? Well, you've got these nice reading lights. They're a lot more useful. And you've got these power points, 230-volt power points on either side. Can't say I think they're in the greatest of positions, but at least you've got them. Then reading lights. Well, not only have you got these cab reading lights, but you've got these swivel spotlights in all 4 corners of the lounge, which is fantastic, especially as each of those reading lights has a USB in it as well. So it is a very comfortable and nicely spacious lounge, especially if there's only 2 of you on board. There is a step, however, between the cab and the lounge. So if you're sitting in the cab seats, you are just that little bit higher than sitting on the sofas. That might affect what you think of the table, but there's a solution to that too, because the table is electrically adjustable. So if you're sitting in the cab seats, have it at the top level. If you're sitting in the lounge seats, just bring it down a little bit to a more comfortable dining height. And then, as I said, we get rid of the junk off the table, just pull out that bar, flip over, and it's a little bit floppy that side, but you've got a good sized dining surface for 4 people. And if you want to move the table about, there's just a handle at this end, give that a good squeeze, and the table slides backwards and forwards and twists about, and yeah, it goes anywhere you want it to, really. So this rather sumptuous lounge is already a big part of the Contiki's appeal, especially with the table lowered right down as a coffee table. It feels even more spacious. But these settees, of course, also have to have a role as travel seats, and you can't travel side facing, so get rid of the scatter cushions. All the cushions secure properly to the van so they don't end up in a pile on the floor if you travel. If there's only 2 of you, of course, and you travel with the seats just left as sofas. And then once you've removed all the cushions, you can clearly see now the folded agouti travel seat underneath. Remove the armrest cushion too, and then the frame of the seat just simply hinges up into position. And you can see the substantial steel frame that supports the seat and includes the Isofix fixings for child seats. Then it's simply a matter of returning some of the cushions onto the seat. This one has to be split from its other half, and these little trapdoors just open to give you foot space. And then you've got a comfortable rear travel seat, decent amount of legroom, good view out, and similar on the other side. And the only downside when you've made both rear travel seats is you do have a pile of cushions left over. Probably best to store those on the bed in the back. Of course, one downside of an arrangement like this is you basically lose a lot of storage under the settees. There's a little bit if you're not going to use the travel seats, but really not a lot. However, if you're comparing this with continental rivals, bear in mind that those will normally have the water tank, the fresh water tank, under at least one of the sofas and possibly the boiler under the other. So swings and roundabouts. Here you've got underslung tanks, which probably aren't quite as good for, even though they're heated, probably aren't quite as good for winter camping, but you have got the travel seats, you have got your sofas. Now, you've also got Unlike a lot of continental rivals which would have a drop-down bed in the lounge, you have here got the possibility of making the settees into a bed. Simply get the table in its lowest position, which we've already done, unfold it. It does need to be in exactly the right place. There we go. And then it's simply a matter of the cushions slotting into place. And over here we have a little pull-out support just to make up the extra width. And you end up with a bed. Of course, you have to sleep this way round because it's wider at this end. 1.94 metres long, so good length. 1.31 metres wide at the head. 1.03 metres, so just over a metre wide at the foot of the bed. Now, if I was envisaging using this as a family van, as a 4-berth, I would prefer the option of a drop-down bed. Coming down from above, just press a button, but unfortunately that's not an option on this Contiki. But if it's only for occasional use, this does make a reasonably flat and reasonably comfortable bed of its type. And of course, this is only a secondary bed. The main bedroom is at the back, and we'll come on to that a bit later on. So, big, posh, British motorhome, you'd expect a big, posh, British kitchen, and that's pretty much what you've got. The latest Dometic microwave, the type that doesn't have the plate, so you don't have to take that out when you travel. You've got plate racks in there, cup racks in there. The cooker is the all-singing, all-dancing type from Thetford. It's got the anti-rattle cast iron pan stands. It's got a mains hot plate as well as 3 gas rings, and then you've got a separate grill and oven. Under that, down at the bottom, you've got a drawer, but it's a bit stiff, and I would have expected soft closing at this sort of money. Worktop, though, is great. You've got this flap here, which makes a nice serving space as well for the lounge, but also gives you plenty of preparation area. As usual with Swift, the only cutlery drawer is hidden away in the cupboard, which isn't quite so convenient, but if you're a Swift devotee, you'll be used to that. It's rather small too. It'll be okay for your knives and forks, but bigger utensils won't fit in there. What you do get, though, is a chopping board cover for your sink, and also a removable draining board. Probably best to have that round the other side. So then you've got 2 main sockets in the corner, plenty of room there for your toaster or your kettle or whatever. Then over on the other side of the van, you've got your tall, slim 139-litre fridge, automatic energy selection, of course, at this level of the market, and the doors open from either side, although it's not really a great benefit. And then as long as you're tall, above that, you've got room to keep your cereal packets and so on in a nice big cupboard up there. So that's one half of this new Swift Kon-tiki. What about the other half? Well, we're not going to go through the round window. That's for people my age that watch Play School. Instead, we're going to go through the stripy door. Now, when you come through, first of all, you get to the ensuite, which I'll show you in more detail in a second. And then, of course, there's the island bed, the usual style, with wardrobes on either side. The bed isn't huge. It's 1.81 metres long by 1.33 metres wide. So a fraction under 6 foot in length. And I've just banged my head. But you can actually just about sit up in bed. So what else is there to tell you about this bedroom? Well, the bed, in usual Swift style, has a nice, comfortable duvet mattress. Then you've got these swivel reading lights, each with a USB built in. You've got rear speakers. Then you've got these little bedside shelves, a couple of USBs on this side, and on this side a main socket. So, and little shelves for a glass of water or your specs or whatever. Plus these bigger shelves forward of the wardrobes. Then you've got a large window on either side, a big push-up sunroof above, rather than the wind-up type you might have expected. Yeah, it's a nice feeling bedroom. It's just this van at 7.8 metres is about 30 centimetres longer than a lot of other island bed models, and yet the bedroom doesn't feel as spacious as you might expect. The bed isn't that big, and room around the foot of the bed, particularly over on the near side where you've got that rather intrusive wall, you could just about squeeze around the foot of the bed, but it isn't that generous. Then other features, well, you've got robe hooks on either side. You've got this corner cupboard with not a lot of storage, but a nice full-length mirror. Of course, your his and hers wardrobes. Nice mood lighting around the top. The other thing I should show you, though, is that there's an odd gap between the mattress and the sideboards. The mattress could usefully be a little bit wider, in fact, quite a bit wider, and you could easily drop stuff down the side of the bed into the garage. Now, there are twin sliding doors to give you privacy from the bedroom when you're using the toilet or the shower or whatever. But my main gripe with this area is this wall here, which just makes things narrow around the foot of the bed, and it just seems to get in the way. If only that would slide back or something, it would feel a lot more spacious at the back end of the van here. That said, there is loads and loads of shoulder space and legroom on the loo. Not only that, but you've got a nice basin area with plenty of worktop alongside. You've got a towel ring. You've got this roof vent with fan above. So a lot of it is quite well designed. It's just this wall. But I guess the star feature of this ensuite is the shower. I do rather like these marble effect walls. It's a good size. Yes, there's a wheel arch intruding, but the way you'll stand to shower, it really doesn't matter. You've got a little shelf here for your shampoo, as well as a little soap dish on the riser bar. And it's an Eco Camel shower head that saves water. So perhaps that 90-litre fresh water tank isn't quite so disastrous. Although if you shower in here regularly, you're soon going to fill that waste tank. But it's a good space, lots and lots of headroom, a roof vent above, as well as that fan in the centre, and you've even got somewhere to hang your wet clothes. With a high-end motorhome, you'd hope for a high-spec cab, and you certainly get it here. Not only the usual stuff like a leather steering wheel, traction plus, hill descent control, cruise control, all that sort of thing. Not even just useless but pretty bits like the little aluminium trimmy bits on the dashboard. But important stuff. Here it's not an aftermarket radio head unit with the sat-nav. It's Fiat's own with this big 10-inch display. All touch screen, you've got your sat-nav on there, climate control, music, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and you can have a split screen as well, showing different elements at the same time. And as well as that, you've got Fiat's new 7-inch digital instrument display, which I have to say looks rather smart. I'm not usually a great fan of these things, but I think Fiat have done that pretty well. And it's an expensive option on the base vehicle on other motorhomes. Of course, it's not just the standard air conditioning either. You've got the climate control, which you can just set the temperature like you would in your car. But the thing on a miserable day like today that I like most is the heated cab seats. But before I doze off, I think we should go for a spin. So driving this big Contiki is much like a lot of other Fiats in many ways. Feels firm ride, which does elicit some rattles and clonks and bangs from the back, but it's not too bad. Once you get off the worst road surfaces, it's okay. And these new 2.2 litre engines do seem a lot, well, quite a bit quieter than the old 2.3s. Especially, I think, this 160 bhp unit, because it's not working as hard as the 140 engine. And the 160, I have to say, is the right power unit for a van of this size. I wouldn't want a 140 in something this big, I don't think. You'll have seen me changing gear manually, but of course, if you buy the Contiki Grand Prix, you get the automatic gearbox as standard, although standard Contiki comes as standard with the 6-speed manual. If you're watching the sat-nav, you can see that the road's now gone bright red to tell me that I'm in an average speed camera zone, but I'm only doing 38 and a 40, so I'm fine. What else to tell you? Well, of course, with the Alco chassis, it does feel lovely and planted on the road. It's very stable, very little cornering, lean when you go round a roundabout or anything. And it should feel lovely and planted on the motorway too, without too much effect when you're passing the heavies, or if you've got strong crosswinds. That shouldn't matter too much. But on a day like today, the thing I'm enjoying most is the heated cab seats. Lovely. Before I sum up on this Contiki Grand Prix 794, I should just tell you about some of the little extra features that are perhaps difficult to show on the video. Things like the 100-watt solar panel that you get as standard, and the new 5G, 4G and 3G onboard Wi-Fi system. Not only that, I mentioned the Audi heating earlier, and that you can use en route thanks to the Truma Duo regulator, so that makes it safe to use the gas heating while you're driving. So, in conclusion, what do I reckon on this new Contiki? Well, I love the lounge, and that is what's going to sell it to you. It feels so spacious with this massive headroom, the big sunroof, these comfy sofas. It does feel very plush at the front here. At the back, I'm slightly disappointed by the size of the bed and those gaps down the side where you can lose things into the garage. And also that wall that makes access around the foot of the bed, the wall between the washroom and the bed, it's just a bit intrusive. I have to say though that the spec is impressive throughout, from the kitchen to the washroom to the lounge, everything. You really don't need to look to an options list, and there isn't one. I mean, you might want to add a TV, possibly a satellite dish, and maybe a bike rack if you're going to hang bikes on the back rather than put them in the garage, but that's about it. Everything else, even as I said, the automatic gearbox is standard. So what will you pay for all this? £90,290. Well, that's a lot of money, and not so far adrift from some premium German motorhomes. But this is a big van. It's about 35 centimetres longer than your typical single rear axle island bed motorhome. And you can see perhaps where that's gone in the lounge and in the washroom. What else? Well, it's the complete spec, I suppose, that makes this van, and the very British feel about it. If you've always been a Swift Kon-tiki fan, perhaps now is a good time to upgrade. And this does seem to offer everything you need without going to the full 9-metre version. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and please support us by liking the video and subscribing to our channel. More videos coming along very soon of all the latest camper vans and motorhomes on the market. And of course, don't forget to pick up your latest copy of MMM magazine and read more about this Contiki, travel features and more besides.